Good afternoon and hello, everyone. My name is Rich Longo, and I am your host of today's webcast. And I want to thank you for joining us for our presentation on IT Service Management for Higher Learning with Freshservice. We're joined today by Brad Christ of Eastern Washington University. And Brad is the Chief Information Officer of Eastern Washington University. It's well over 20 years in higher education space, deep technical knowledge and expertise across cloud platforms for IS, PAS, enterprise architecture, information security, risk management, ERP, configuration management, DevOps, and application development. Brad is very happy today to answer any of your questions live during today's webcast. So please type your question in the question section of the GoToWebinar platform, and I'll read them off, and he'll answer them live just for you. And before we move on to Brad, I also want to introduce, we have two other guests. We have the pleasure of Hervé Danslod of Freshworks. Hervé is the head of channels and alliance of North America at Freshworks and been in the IT space for well over 20 years and been responsible for building several very successful teams in the IT marketplace. He's a key player in helping to get the word out in North America about what Freshworks can do to enhance and create a more efficient IT environment within any organization, no matter the size or complexity. And Josh Shitron of Freshworks has joined us today to highlight the capabilities of what the Freshworks tool it can be for you. He's an experienced software engineer with great knowledge of what this tool can do for your organization, how it can make things better for you and make life easier for you. And before we get started, let me introduce Flycast Partners. Flycast Partners is an organization that spans throughout North America with just over 5,600 professional services engagements, both in the US and Canada. We have over 1,200 customers in many different industries and government agencies. One of the reasons for continued success are that our team, they take a look at how your current solutions and processes are today and where you want to be for tomorrow. And we assess those problems and issues and determine the urgency within the organization. Our team will make sure that we help align your IT goals and business goals, helping you with efficiency and costs. Our delivery team delivers sustainable solution at the right price for you at the right time. And we're very customer focused. We're focused on your needs, your values, despite any shifts in technology in the IT marketplace. And we know how quickly that shifts and changes on a regular basis. With that being said, you can always reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. Visit our website, chat with us live during regular business hours, Monday through Friday. We have IT experts standing by, or you can email us at info@flycastpartners.com. Now, without any more delay, I'm going to turn this over to the star of our presentation today, Brad. Brad, thank you for taking time out of, I'm sure, a very busy schedule to join us today.
Of course. Thank you for the invitation.
So if you can just tell us a little bit about where was Eastern Washington University before taking on Freshservice? What was the environment like?
Yeah, so I actually started at Eastern Washington University just about 3 years ago this week. And so, when I arrived, our ITSM environment really consisted of a partially implemented installation of ServiceNow, as well as an older implementation of Web Help Desk. And so they had managed, they had licensed ServiceNow as a replacement for Web Help Desk a number of years before I had arrived. It had gone through professional services with a couple of partners, and then finally ended up doing a self-implementation of incident management, but none of the other features of ServiceNow. And if you're familiar with that platform, it's like a big box of Legos. Requires a lot of care and feeding to make it something, something out of it. Doesn't really kind of come package. Web Help Desk was generally liked by the staff. However, one of the reasons that they had wanted to move was more automation, as well as it was a very old version of Web Help Desk running on premises, against an old Oracle database, very, very slow, and it was very frustrating for the staff. But unfortunately, they had the worst of both worlds, a partially implemented ServiceNow instance, and then Web Help Desk, and they were splitting. So incident management wasn't one, but their old knowledge base, old ticket history, change management was still being performed in web help desk. It just was not a great environment. So, one of the first things I wanted to do was talk to the staff. What things were they happy about? What things were they unhappy about? And this quickly emerged as an issue. And because of the frustration and issues with both of those platforms, people had retreated to be using email, or in some cases, Skype for Business in order to provide support. So there was very little visibility into any sort of issue. Unfortunately, that meant little communication, so that when somebody was reporting an outage, there wasn't really anywhere to track it. That we couldn't track problems. We couldn't really take advantage of all of those things that a modern ITSM platform, enables, and those, parts of the ITIL model that we wanted to adopt or had tried to adopt in the organization before I had arrived. So, given that, it was a pretty easy decision to do a review. Should we keep what we've got? Should we re-implement it, or what should we do? And pretty much the universal feeling was, let's dump what we got and let's go ahead and look at other platforms. And so, I had a few things that I wanted. I wanted to make sure that it was not on-prem. It needed to be software as a service. We just didn't have the staffing necessary to support something that was kind of build your own. We needed a solution that would be really accessible, easy to use for us, as well as, frankly, easy to use and understandable for our clients. And so, we looked at all of the kind of major leading platforms out there, as long as they met our requirements, that we didn't have to build it. We wanted something that was really kind of ready to go from day one, but included full ITSM support. So we didn't just look at help desk solutions. We needed something that had all those elements, even if we weren't necessarily quite ready to start using them. And that was key for us, which was, we didn't really have a complete inventory. We didn't, we had change management, but we didn't have other pieces of the ITSM, and ITIL model employed, but we knew that we wanted to take advantage of them eventually, but it wasn't a requirement in terms of day one, we need those things to be working. Now, that said, we wanted them in the platform. And so I also insisted on an opportunity for us to try out before we actually purchase something. So in the past, decisions had been made or products had been purchased without actually getting into it. And it's always good, I think, to be able to, take a test drive. And so that was also important for us to take a look at. So that's how we ended up with Freshservice. So after looking at the landscape, arranging various demos as well as opportunities for trials, the first time, we tried Freshservice, I turned it over to my help desk staff and a web developer, and they had already skinned it, 4 hours later. So they already had made it look like our website within just a couple of hours. And so, when I told and asked for feedback, the response was immediate. Everybody liked Freshservice the best. And so that's when we entered negotiations, and that's when we ended up purchasing it. And we were actually able to turn our trial right into our production instance. And, we were able to, within a month, working with professional services, turn over, get our old information out of Web Help Desk, get the current incidents that we had in ServiceNow, get all of that information over. My staff had asked that we preserve that history. So we worked with professional services for Freshservice to move that information over. They helped us transfer what knowledge base articles we did have, and then helped us configure the platform. For instance, it was the first time that we were going to be able to employ our SLA and other features that we knew were important. And again, that speaks to why we wanted a full ITSM product, even if we weren't necessarily ready for every piece of it. But we had it and ready to go. And so, really it was Friday, we're shutting down ServiceNow. Monday, we're going to be coming up with Freshservice, and the professional services staff were able to move over any current incidents and then backfill over the next couple of weeks, the historical tickets, which worked really actually very well. So, what challenges did this solve for us? Obviously, it got us onto a single platform, which was very important. Supported all devices. In the past, using some of these help desk products they were using, it only ran on Windows. So right, we support both platforms here in higher education. We're a 60-40 split. We have to be able to support Macs, and that means that we need to be able to access our help desk system from a Mac as well. And of course, we want these things to run in a web browser because that's how things work now. And so that was actually refreshing, as well as, hey, there's a mobile app. So when folks are around campus, they can go ahead and use their iOS device. They can use their cell phone or off campus in order to answer these tickets. And so that was very helpful. And so, it really also helped us to expand the reach. So, we were able to start shifting people from email-based support in terms of, I know this person on the help desk, so that's the person I'm always going to email directly, rather than going through our help desk system. It made it super easy as well, since we could forward emails. So, sometimes you're just not going to prevent that behavior. They're going to have a great experience with somebody on the help desk, and they're going to want to email them, regardless of whatever you tell them. We just know that's how the way it works, which is fine. It's just, we just have to accept it as it is. And so then they can just forward it into Freshservice, and then it creates a ticket automatically for that individual. Or, somebody always wants to go to the top, right? They always want to go to the CIO. So they'll email me about it, and I can just forward it right into the help desk, make sure that it gets assigned to the right person. So, I'm not dealing with, I'm not providing support for my email. We can do that from the help desk. In terms of client reception, people noticed it immediately. I got a number of compliments, right away, which is, oh, this is so much easier to use, and I'll actually use it. So that was also an opportunity for us to start building out our knowledge base in our portal, and our portal is public. So we allow, the number of accounts that we have in our help desk is like 100,000 in terms of requesters, both historical as well as, we get faculty and staff and students who email us from not only their work email, but then their personal email, or from prospective students. And sometimes, because it is public, we get inquiries from people. We had a student who contacted us and was asking for assistance, and, we started diving into it, and then we discovered that he was a student in Poland. So we're like, well, we're happy to answer a question or two for you, but ultimately we can't fix your account issue. You're going to have to talk to your own university for it. So this happens more than you might think. But we're a university, we serve the public, we want to be assistant, we want to help. But, I already mentioned, SLA timing. So we were able to set up escalation so that we made sure that issues were, if they were not meeting our needs, we could not only measure that, but now, we can make sure that they get escalated appropriately to a supervisor or manager, or even to myself if necessary. But then we also, other challenges were things like workflow. The service catalog, project management, and the project management, was it's getting upgraded in a couple of weeks for us as Freshservice is adding new things. But it was what we needed in terms of kind of IT projects, because it didn't have kind of the overhead associated with something like Microsoft Project, but it was good enough for IT folks. And so for system administrators and other folks, something like Microsoft Project gets very overwhelming. It often is more work than actually doing the project itself. But we do want to have that kind of visibility. And so that was kind of, a good compromise in terms of, oh, hey, this is pretty easy. It's built into the help desk system. You can assign yourself tasks. We can keep track of it that way. But it's not so overwhelming that you don't want to use it. So in the same way that we had issues with people opting out and not even using the help desk system, we wanted people to use those features. And so that was the nice thing about Freshservice in terms of it wasn't so complex. And so that we could implement, workflows, that we could use the supervisor, which is kind of more or less in Freshservice terms, it's cron. So we can cron jobs in the system, and it's super easy to manage. I didn't have to dedicate an individual to be managing the help desk. We just don't have that. And so, I've gotten other reference calls from folks who are interested in Freshservice, and, sometimes coming from ServiceNow or from other types of applications that are similar that have that overhead. And they always ask, well, how many people do you have assigned? I said, well, we don't really have anybody assigned. That was one of the reasons we chose in the benefits of the platform, that these things can be delegated to more folks because, one, you can't really break it. And two, it's much easier to configure. So you can do sophisticated things in workflow, but it's also really easy to do something pretty simple. Like we wanted to send out a message, for instance, when we're closed. So really super easy. It took us 5 minutes to set up that workflow, just to set up. And so when somebody sends us before we're open or after we're open, we send them a little message and say, hey, not only did we receive your ticket, which of course is just built into the platform, but we follow it up with another email, which is, hey, we're currently closed. This is our business hours. And we'll take a look at it when you respond. So we've added something rather than just, so people are aware and hopefully a little bit more personal touch rather than those, automatic acknowledgments that everybody gets and then that everybody immediately deletes. So in terms of, what we're doing, what's the future for us and how we're using Freshservice? Part of it is as we've been using it, there's been more interest from other departments. So, specific to higher education, we quickly brought on our institutional research. So kind of our reporting department. They're active participants. We work very closely with them. Very, very helpful to have them in the same help desk system. Issue comes in, we're able to assign it as appropriate or bring them into issues that end up involving them, particularly with reports. But we have other departments that express interest and utility. So we have academic advising. So they support and use a system that is software as a service. But they're starting to manage more in terms of security and who has access to what. And it's a system that we use essentially kind of a CRM. But, for students who, to provide academic advising and registration advice and help with them. And so they're getting more into the business of what we would have called IT in the past. So again, having them in the system, very helpful. And then the latest department to join us was our registrar's office, so records and registration. And this is about managing their workload. So they initially approached us and said, hey, we want to build something out that, allows us to manage issues and takes care of and tracking and does reporting. We're like, wait a minute, we don't need to invent something. Let's not reinvent the wheel. We have some additional licenses open at the moment. Why don't you come into our help desk system? It does all of that and more. And so we've been able to bring those folks in, and that will be a benefit to students because, of course, that's ultimately what we're trying to do here, which is improve service for faculty and especially students. The other pieces, that we're looking forward to are continuing to build out and use features like, we're finally building out our CMDB. So we've had some usage of it, but we're now using the discovery agent to kind of fix and overcome some shortcomings when it comes to System Center Configuration Manager and Jamf, where we were getting, some data that was good, some of the data was not very helpful. And so, it wasn't very clean on our side. So now we're able to clean that up and use, the inventory function and associate that with folks and start using it to check out devices and keep track of things like security keys. So we've implemented two-factor authentication for all of our faculty and staff. We want to track who has them as we hand them out. So we've been able to take advantage of those features that we otherwise hadn't been using since we began it. And we're looking forward to a couple of new great features, which is orchestration especially. So we're really interested in being able to, in some cases, automatically assign folks to Active Directory work groups. And so, we have a hybrid Azure AD environment, so we need that functionality. And we're really excited to be able to automatically add folks to groups. We've kind of already got some of those workflows built in terms of approvals and the group names. But at the moment, someone still has to go ahead and say, okay, well, now I need to add this person to this group, in ADUC or another Active Directory management tool. We're going to be able to employ orchestration in order to do that for us. And so it becomes, very much hands-off. We've undertaken a review of how we're doing things so that we can automate them as much as possible. So, they're not waiting on us any longer. And instead, once it's approved by the appropriate folks around campus, they just get that access. No intervention. They're not waiting on us. The other piece that we're excited about is the expanded project management. Our project managers will probably be able to use the tool now, whereas in the past, it was great for internal kind of projects, but not particularly well suited for in the same way to communicate information out to clients and or report on projects for a campus-wide audience. And so there's so many new features in the newest version that I think we're getting our instance upgraded next week, and we're very much looking forward. And folks are my project folks have already undertaken a review and are very excited about it. So that's the story of how we ended up with Freshservice and how we've used it.
That is a lot of information, Brad. And we do have a couple questions, actually. So let's start out with the first one. So did you need to change your processes and ticket flows? If so, how did you get the tech staff to adjust?
The biggest difference for us was moving them away from email support. And so some of them refused essentially to log into ServiceNow. And so by making it easy to use as well as engaging them in the selection of the product, I was able to get their buy-in so that they were able to see, oh, this is actually going to make it easier for me, and rather than continuing to do what I did before, where it gets lost on my email or it's not being tracked. And so, I think that's a common issue across many departments. Many organizations, I don't think it's something unique, but that's how I was able to facilitate and get buy-in, and to make sure that it was an easy to use platform so that they didn't kind of opt out of it. Rather than, you can make a pronouncement, but, people will just ignore you, particularly in higher education where people have a certain, kind of autonomy, or, it's a little bit more of a democratic workplace. Mandates only go so far versus getting people to buy in and seeing what the benefit of the platform was. And that's how we did it was, you're involved, you had a choice, you indicated that this was the platform that you wanted, so let's use it.
Okay. And we have more questions filtering in. So the next question is, did the staff embrace the SLA?
When I came to Eastern, they actually asked for the SLA. So to a certain extent, I think they thought that it would be panacea in terms of if we only have the SLA, it'll be able to, educate those folks why we weren't able to help their request. That only works so far. Sometimes you can tell a faculty member, they'll go, well, I don't know what an SLA is. I didn't write the policy. I don't really care. I didn't get the help I needed. However, at the same time, it also gives us backing. So it gives us the opportunity to be able to have the conversation with folks and go, yep, I'm sorry, your 7-year-old PC is not something that we can support. It doesn't run Windows 10. It's no longer supported by the manufacturer. It's no longer supported by Microsoft. It's embedded in our SLA. We have this right to decide what we're going to work on and what we're not going to work on. And so, to that point is what some of the staff were looking for. So when it came to embracing the SLA, I had the advantage of they were looking for guidance. They were looking for, in some cases, they were looking, for how to say no, which is, I philosophically, need to tell them, it's not about telling them no, it's about finding out what their needs are and then working with them to meet their needs in a responsible way that meets our SLA. So there's some nuance associated with it. But at the same time, it also did give them backing and ensured that I had their back so that when they were able to talk to a client and say, yep, no, we don't support that computer, they had backing from me and my managers to say, yep, nope, they're right. And, I wasn't going to frankly sell them out. And so that was the benefit of the SLA. And that's why the folks in general embraced it.
Next question. This comes from Betty. Betty wants to know, is there an integrated IM, an integrated instant messenger?
There's not. The nice thing is, there is actually. We don't run that. You have the ability in Freshservice, actually, if you're in a ticket, you can actually just click on a word and then it'll say discuss. And so then you can actually bring other people in the help desk. So we don't actually end up using that very much, to be perfectly honest. And the reason is that one of the other changes I made was to bring in Slack, because we needed a tool to communicate, frankly, across the department. And Skype for Business was not doing it for us. Folks now, might be able to use Teams. This was before Teams, and Slack has just proven a hit among my staff. And so I don't want to move them out of a tool that they're happily using and grateful to use and use extensively to just kind of the help desk discussion model. So the nice thing is that there is so many integrations available for Freshservice that we've been able to take advantage of them, and frankly, including Slack. So that it's there. We haven't used it very much because we have an alternative that we like. And in this case, changing their behavior isn't really worth it for us.
Okay, and next question is a pretty important question. Does the mobile version also work on Android?
It does. Yep.
And next question, did you leverage the external services to help with the implementation? Did you use Freshservice's plans to get it implemented?
We did use their assistance and help, and I'm not sure about plans, but in terms of they kind of coached us and walked us through the various kind of elements. I'll be honest, our use of ServiceNow was pretty simplistic, and so a more sophisticated organization that had been using a product like that in a more in-depth way would have probably benefited more from some of their assistance. But at the same time, that made it really quick for us because we didn't have an SLA before. Now we did. We were able to take their advice and get that implemented, and they were able to help us with that. Or our knowledge base was kind of stinky, and so it was a good opportunity to clean that up as part of that migration as well. Stuff that was related to Windows 7 and stuff that didn't matter any longer. So cleaning that up. But they were very helpful, especially when it came to migrating all of the history, especially from Web Help Desk. We had almost 10 years of old Web Help Desk tickets, and that's something that we would have never accomplished on our own. But in terms of getting it up and running, pretty easy to do, self-service, but we certainly did benefit from some of their wisdom that we didn't have with the platform with migrating things over.
A couple more things. Now, Darren, let me answer your question myself. I will make this link available for your director to watch. So if you go ahead and email me at rich.longo@flycastpartners.com, I'll make sure you get a copy of this so that you can show it to your director. Next question comes from Taylor. Taylor wants to know, how mature were your ITIL-based processes before Freshservice, and how has that developed now after implementing Freshservice?
Pretty immature. And so one of the issues that, frankly, they had with ServiceNow was something like deciding what's in the service catalog. And so, we were able to using the organizing concepts, behind Freshservice that just said, oh, a service catalog is for things that people will request from you. So not just a generic list of services that you offer. For instance, some organization institutions will list things like, oh, we have Active Directory, we have IIS. Well, unless you're actually offering just as a generic web service, that's of no utility. Nobody actually cares other than IT. Or Active Directory. How people have an account, they don't really care. Instead, they want to say, oh, I can request an Adobe Creative Cloud license. Gotcha. That's very helpful and useful for us. Or as we've expanded it over time in terms of, adding access requests and moving that from a paper-based, process that went through our document management system to something that's just embedded in Freshservice. We've gotten much better and started to use more of the ITIL model, certainly by using the tool than we would have otherwise. That was just not it didn't go anywhere before we adopted the tool, to be perfectly honest.
Very good. And it looks like that's all the questions we have for now. But folks, if you do have additional questions outside of the ones that have been asked today, by all means, reach out to us. Give us a call, 844-FLYCAST. It's 844-359-2278, or you can email us, info@flycastpartners.com. Chat with us. We'll get the answers for you, any questions you have. Brad, thank you. That was a wealth of information that you provided for us today, and it's very much appreciated.
Great. You're welcome. I hope it was helpful.
It was for myself. I'm learning about Freshservice as we go, so this is great stuff. And now I'd like to move on to Hervé and to Josh. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead and get started with a PowerPoint presentation from Hervé here, and then we'll transition into Josh. And Hervé, I'm going to let you guide me as far as what of this PowerPoint you want on the screen, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Really appreciate the invite and the partnership. We're really looking forward to taking this solution to market with Flycast. So I think a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I'm going to spend 5 minutes briefly on Freshworks and Freshservice, and then I'm going to let the product do the talking, because I think Josh has a demo. And obviously, we're available afterwards if the attendees want to go through a full demo of Freshservice. So if you can go to the next slide, Rich. I think what we heard from Brad, and again, I want to thank you, Brad, for joining us, is fairly typical of our clients. I think what we hear from higher ed organization is it's a challenging environment. you basically have different groups of customers. You have students, you have internal, faculty, you have research, and then you have a life cycle where the students are being onboarded, recruited, then they go through the typical life cycle of getting service, and then they're going to graduate, and you need to treat them as alumni and manage that community. And it makes it fairly hard for IT department to manage these needs. There are different SLAs. Typically, there are different tools being leveraged by different organizations. And I think, as Brad mentioned, that's where things start to break down. And on top of that, I think there is, a shift in higher ed in the US. Obviously, I have a teenager at home. He's getting ready to go to college, and these kids are on their mobile devices. I think they are really used to a commercial experience. And I think their expectation is sky high. They really expect to get serviced on their mobile devices. They don't have too much patience for, calling people. So they really expect self-service. And I think we've been trying to build a solution at Freshworks that really helps our CIO clients to start with a use case without breaking the bank and without a lot of complexity. And then as they graduate and they want to add more resources, they want to go deeper in ITIL, they may be wanting to add collaboration and project management. We have these capabilities, but we don't force the entire platform on our clients. So I think it's a key differentiator for Freshworks. So basically, I think that's a state of higher ed. There's obviously a big shift in these online courses. I think the expectations are going through the roof in terms of helping students self-serve, access to mobile, and then from an educator standpoint, streamlining these teams, moving to the cloud in a way that doesn't tax a lot of folks to reinvent the wheel, basically. So we provide a lot of these capabilities. So that's basically our service. And the attempt here is to have an IT help desk, Freshservice, that is going to meet the requirement of the students, obviously, but also the faculty, different SLAs. But we unify all these services on one platform. And I'm going to go very fast because I'd rather show you than talk through it. That's basically the way we are structuring. Our platform runs on top of AWS. It's very secure. So we support, SAML and different authentication layers. But it's a full-blown ITIL aligned set of services at the bottom that would provide the typical IT help desk capabilities, like being able to log a ticket, access to a service catalog. I would say the service catalog has been very popular recently because it's really self-service. I mean, ultimately, we understand that our higher ed clients don't have a ton of resources. And if you can deflect a lot of the tickets via self-service, AI, bots, it's a huge save of resources and also improves the NPS. The kids, the students want to be able to self-serve. That's the way they are doing it today, using Google. So that's the way we've built that platform. And I think, we've been recognized by analysts, whether it's Gartner or G2, as one of the leading solutions. And the feedback is fairly common. They praise the ease of use, the fact that it doesn't take, 6 months to set it up, and also the flexibility of a platform. So I don't want to spend too much time on slide, but ultimately our promise to our client is to deliver moments of wow. We want to have a quick time to value, being able to set up a full environment in a matter of days, maybe a few weeks, but not months, because we know that the business is shifting very quickly. We are flexible. I think most of our clients start with maybe setting up a help desk, and then they'll want to build the SCMDB. They'll want to beef up their their knowledge base. And then maybe they want to develop AI and put a chatbot to enable self-service. And then we can grow with them. Maybe, as I think Brad mentioned, project management is pretty popular. It's a new feature. So maybe that's the next step. And then obviously we believe in ease of use. So we know that, we have one solution, but our clients are typically interested in, collaboration, voice integration. We enable that through a very rich marketplace. So I don't know if Josh will be able to show us, but we have a really cool Slack and Microsoft Team integration where we enable the help desk on Freshservice to collaborate with knowledge workers. on Slack or Microsoft Teams and really exchange data between the two systems. So you can pass a ticket to a knowledge worker in Slack or Microsoft Teams and also gather that data and put it back into your help desk. So really connecting different sides of the organization. And ultimately, we think that we are more than a vendor. We want to be a partner with our clients. We are very deeply engaged in professional services, and we're going to work with Flycast to deliver these services to our customers. And we keep an eye on the usage, making sure that the implementation goes well. And ultimately, the success of our client is our success. So we are, known for having a very good NPS score, and most of our customers stay with us for a long haul. So I want to thank the audience again, and I'd like to pass it back maybe to Josh and show us Freshservice.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you again for the intro there, Hervé. And what we're showing you right now is what our complete out-of-the-box Freshservice solution looks like. So we do give you this nice end user portal. Now, there's a few key components that I did want to mention. So as has been said a few times, we really want to be able to drive the adoption and drive the capabilities of Freshservice and the ITSM help desk as a whole. And so from our experience, that's really going to lend itself to a multi-channel need. And so just to show you how easy the integrations are, we do have full telephony integration, full chat, as well as Microsoft Teams and Slack integrations, as Hervé mentioned. Now, because of all of these, we really want to be able to make it so that we have an easy experience for, say, the end user, the student, or an educator. And so we really make it easy to be able to leverage any of this. So there is the full self-service portal, but everything also works on mobile as well. So if you did need to bring in, say, a chatbot, we can always have that easily enabled on the mobile side. Now, this is the out-of-the-box help desk, but I do want to show you that we are able to completely configure and customize the look and feel to match whatever institution or brand we're trying to match against. And we do that by giving you full access to the HTML and CSS. So I'm quickly going to switch over to a sample portal that we have that's a bit more branded on the education side of things. We're able to pull in various components of your website or your overall needs to really make it engaging and accessible to the end users. So everything from Facebook integrations to class integrations, and ultimately we want to be able to either submit some sort of ticket or leverage the knowledge base or leverage the service catalog to make sure that we're requesting the right kinds of items. We're able to find the knowledge base articles easily, and we can always do that by utilizing the search box up at the top here to grab any sort of articles we might want, service catalog items, and even the tickets that you've submitted in the past. So we really want to make it easy for anyone to use to help drive that overall adoption. Now we're going to transition quickly over to the agent side. And this is where the agents will spend most of their time, really being able to dive in and actually work on the tickets, the processes, the changes, and even the products and projects that are being run through the help desk. So I know Brad was talking about getting upgraded to the newest version of product management. And as part of this idea, we are fully web-based. And so it really brings a lot of value to education, to the education space, or really any space that there is, because we're always able to make sure that you're on the latest version. This is something that is easily talked about, but as Brad has mentioned, he's going to get an automatic update, which is going to provide that project management scope. And so we do have notifications around that, as well as updates that will be immediately reflected in the modules on the left side here. So here's the new project management component, where we have full project management capabilities that are nicely split between, say, software or non-software types of projects. Now, additionally, and we could see this on the end user portal as well as on the agent side, we do have an AI and bot layer on top. And we affectionately call this layer Freddy. And Freddy helps all over the place, really helps save time for the end users by suggesting some common knowledge base articles. So say they need the Wi-Fi password. That's something that we can automatically surface for any of the end users. And we also make it so that these same AI and machine learning technologies are present across the agent side as well, to help suggest answers to tickets, to help make it so that we're able to really map and bring out the best components of the knowledge base into our ticket responses automatically. And if we can provide that self-service layer for the end user, we also try to do that for the agents as well, with automatic email responses that will oftentimes even contain links to the right knowledge base articles, the right service catalog items, to really make a cohesive and easy to use experience that really provides simple and quick time to value, so that you're able to get stood up very quickly with Freshservice and ultimately find success in a quick manner as well. So it was a very quick run through of Freshservice. I know we're running up on time here, but I do want to say thank you for your time. And now I will pass it back over to Rich.
Thank you, Josh, for giving us that 10,000-foot view of Freshservice and how it relates to higher education. Folks, if you would like a personalized demo or additional information, please reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. Email us at info@flycastpartners.com, or by all means, you can chat with us live on our website during regular business hours, Monday through Friday. We're happy to get any answers that you're seeking. Special thank you to Brad. Brad, know how busy you are. Thank you for sharing with us your Freshservice experience and how you are utilizing it at Eastern Washington University. And Hervé, thank you once again for showing us a little bit about what Freshworks is all about and how they can enhance and help in the IT areas of any organization. And Josh, thank you for your technical knowledge and ability to show us how it can be used in a day-to-day environment. Until our next broadcast, stay safe, folks.